Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode. At the Sadgarad Zoo, there are a lot of cats. You'd expect to see leopards, tigers, and lions, right? Muska the cat is another one. Everyone at the zoo likes her, both the tourists and the people who work there. But they couldn't believe it when they saw what she was looking for. Alice, who works at the zoo, found Muska when he was a baby. One morning, she heard a cat meowing from a bush outside the zoo. The kitten was very small. Alice took care of animals because she loved them. She picked up the little furry thing and took it to the zoo, where it was safe. When Muska was found, she wasn't in very good shape. She was terrified and helpless out in the cold. Her mother also couldn't be found. It doesn't matter how Muska was left alone in the bush, because in the end, she was saved by Alice by chance. But they couldn't stay lucky forever. When Alice got her dream job, she couldn't believe it. She loved going to work every day, and she had been working there for 8 years before she met little Muska. But she didn't know what the animals were doing when she wasn't looking. She had no idea what would happen when a new neighbor moved in. After Alice brought Muska to the zoo, the vet checked on her and kept a close eye on her for the next few weeks. When she got better, it was a surprise to everyone. Alice said, "I knew there was something special about Muska the moment I saw her." She didn't know if what she said would be true or not. As Muska grew up, she became more sure of herself and wanted to see more and more of the zoo. The staff was afraid that she would soon walk into the wrong cage. They did everything they could to keep her away from the other animals, but she was a clever little thief. And she wanted to see what was in the other cages. There were many different kinds of animals at the zoo. This meant that there were also many scary animals. Alice just hoped that Muska would be smart enough to stay away from gorillas and tigers. Muska was the nicest cat, and he would purr at anyone who came near him. Alice was worried because she might try to make friends with something that didn't want to. Alice remembers that when Muska went missing, she said, "I love that cat with all my heart. When she went missing, I felt like a part of me died." They looked for her for 2 days straight, but they couldn't find her anywhere. Alice couldn't believe she'd disappeared. She made signs and called out her name every night. Then, however, something happened. Alice was ready to do whatever it took to find Muska. Just as her fear was reaching a peak, she saw her waiting for her on the stairs. Alice's eyes got big and she started to cry. She took her in her arms and gave her a tight hug. She took her inside and fed her because she looked like she was hungry. But there was something different. Muska went back to the keeper's office and waited at the door to be let in. He was as cool as a cucumber. Alice thought her baby had come home, but she would soon notice that something had changed. At first, Alice thought that the change in behavior was just because she had been gone for a few days and was tired. But as time went on, she started to wonder if there was something else going on. There was, too. Muska was always a lively, fun, and playful cat, but since she went missing, she seemed to have changed in some way. She was tired and slow, so she chose to lie around and sleep instead of playing with the guards. Alice had her doubts. What exactly was Muska doing when she disappeared? Did she get scared by one of the bigger animals? Was there something? Was Alice going to find out? Alice didn't worry when Muska went missing for the second time. She had been home before, so she knew how to get there again. She was smart, so Alice knew she would come back this time. But when a storm started to form, Alice started to worry about Muska, who seemed to be moving slower than normal. She went outside to look for her. She could never have been ready for what she found. Alice was walking around the zoo when she heard it. Just like the first time she found her, she heard a weak meow coming from a bush. Alice quietly walked over to the bush, hoping that Muska would be waiting for her there. The cat's meows got louder, so she walked over slowly. She looked into the bush without scaring it, and she couldn't believe what she saw right in front of her. Alice was amazed to see that her beloved Muska had not only kittens but also baby hedgehogs. Even though they had spikes, all of the babies were nursing from Muska. It must have been hard for Muska, but her feelings as a mother took over. Alice had worked with animals for many years, and she had never seen anything like this. How did this happen? Animals have always had strange relationships with each other, whether it's between two hunters who would normally fight in the wild or between a snake and a hamster who become friends at mealtime. There are a lot of amazing and unusual animal friendship stories on the internet, and they almost always get people's attention. That's exactly what happened to Muska and her hedgehogs. Alice was so moved by the sight of Muska taking care of these hedgehogs that she filmed the scene and shared it on social media. The video went viral online and put Muska in the center because of how kind, patient, and caring she was in it. But everyone kept coming back to one question. How did Muska end up taking in this odd small litter of hedgehogs? Where was their mother, and how did they end up with Muska? Alice had to look everywhere again for a mother animal who had left her kids behind or forgotten about them and was now on the run. But no matter how hard Alice and the zoo staff looked, they could not find the mother hedgehog anywhere. Muska's new kittens had lost their mother, who had found Muska while giving birth to her kittens. Even though they were very different from her kittens, she decided to take them in and raise them as her own. I knew she was special when I found her as a kitten in that bush, Alice said with a smile. I had no idea she would turn out to be so unique. So, what happened to Muska and her children? Muska fed the baby hedgehogs with her kittens until they were big enough for her to start weaning them off. This is similar to a story that came out online about another cat who suddenly took in baby hedgehogs. Alice found good homes for the kittens. 2 of them went to live with the zookeepers, and the rest went to homes in the area. What about hedgehogs? The hedgehogs were able to go back into the wild in a forest area near the zoo where Muska continued to live. Alice will often see one of Muska's hedgehogs walking through the zoo's fields, where Muska will be waiting to meet it. We could learn a thing or two from watching how animals act. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.